Hi, I'm Rick I, the LinkedIn Guy, and in this video segment, I will share with you an overview of using Ninja LinkedIn tactics to find a job on LinkedIn. Before we get started, I want to ask you to identify the number that is most different from the others and why. I'll just give you a couple of seconds for you to identify the number. All right, and whichever one you selected, it's okay, there's no right or wrong answers, but let me ask you, which one is the only even number there? I know you're probably saying there is no even number there, but I'll guarantee you there is. Okay, I'll kill the suspense and show it to you. Here we go. Yes, that number 2 is the only even number there, and there's a good chance that you didn't see it when you had some choices, that you only saw the spelled out numbers of 11331. I didn't see it either the first time I saw that. And the reason for that is because of the parentheses or the bracket that precondition our brain to ignore anything that comes prior to them and only focus on what comes afterwards. And why I like to share this with you is because if these were job potential opportunities, then you just missed 50% of them by only focusing on the spelled out ones. Now, once I pointed out to you that there's an even number there, it's pretty obvious, but you missed it beforehand more than likely. And that's what's out there in the job marketplace as well. Many of the most obvious jobs you may not be getting, but there's some less obvious jobs, some hidden jobs that if you know where to look, if you see some of the blind spots that you have, you could find them. So let me share with you some statistics, and they come from the J.O.L.T.S report, or the Job Openings and Labor Turnover Summary. So what do these numbers mean? Almost 24 million and almost 3 million. Well, the 24 million jobs, almost 24 million jobs, are the number of people that were hired in a 6-month period from December 2010 to April 2011. Yes, that's in the United States. Almost 24 million people were hired. And the 2.9 million people were openings in the month of April, a 30-day period, which is the last month of data available as of now, that went unfulfilled. That's correct. These were openings available that were not filled. So the question is, how does it happen? Well, for starters, it's because 70% of the estimated jobs are never made public. That means people inside of companies mention it to other people who mention it to other people, and they never get posted or published. Partly because hiring managers don't have time to go over the flood of resumes that they normally get when they post a job, and also because a network of people who know people seems to be a lot more effective to find positions and fill them. So you see, the game has changed when it comes to employment. Not too long ago, you looked for jobs the traditional way by finding ads, applying for them, etc. But now it's quite possible that the job will find you. People will come to you and want to hire you without you actually looking for it. So to use an analogy here, think of an iceberg where the advertised jobs only amount for a small portion of the jobs available, and many of the other jobs are below the surface, so to speak, and you'll never hear about them. What does that mean to the average job seeker? Well, the average job seeker spends almost 40 weeks looking for jobs before they find one. And what they do is they look for advertised jobs in either boards and or papers. They apply with their traditional resume, and then they just wait. And that normally takes, on average, about 40 weeks. However, in the 21st century job search, what people are doing who are being very successful is they create a list of target employers. Then they create a resume that resonates with those employers, and they get it to the hiring managers, bypassing HR departments altogether. Now, I heard this, what I'm about to say to you, and if you are an HR manager, no disrespect to you, but the fact of the matter is there's plenty of them who actually operate this way, and I heard that HR stands for hiring resistance. Now, many of you who have applied for jobs will attest to that. So, let's talk about networking and the whole idea of finding a job via networking. So, what exactly is networking? Networking is the exchange of information or services among individuals, groups, or institutions, specifically the cultivation of productive relationships for employment or business. That last sentence is key, the cultivation of productive relationships for employment or business. So to achieve networking success, and I've been doing networking for a long, long time, you must have the three elements I will show you here. First of all, you need to have a structure, a process, and a mindset. Structure is nothing more than a container in which you network. Process is what you do inside of the container, and mindset is the attitude that you bring to networking inside of the container. So let's go about each one of them as they relate to LinkedIn. The LinkedIn structure, which is why bother with LinkedIn? Well, for starters, there's over 100 million professionals on LinkedIn with 1 million plus companies represented on LinkedIn in over 150 industries with executives from every Fortune 500 firm represented there, and 200 different countries with 56% of them being outside of the US. So it literally is a global community with some very powerful demographics. The companies that are hiring are on LinkedIn. You can search for them. If you live in the United States, you can actually search for them within a certain mile radius of or area of where you live. That's pretty powerful. Companies are also looking to hire people, and they are mentioning those jobs openings. They are publicizing them on LinkedIn. And also people are looking for the products or services that you offer. It may not be a company, but it may be an individual who's looking to hire somebody with your skills and talents. So people are looking for what you're offering every single day. As far as LinkedIn goes, it works in the theory of 6 degrees of separation. However, LinkedIn only has 3 degrees instead of 6. And what that means is the following. The 3 degrees are 3 layers of connections. There's the first layer, which is you and the people you are directly connected to. Those are your first degree connections. Then there's the connections of all of your connections. Those are your second degree connections. So if you and I are connected, then all of my first degree connections besides you become your second degree connections, and vice versa. And then there's one more layer, which is the third degree connections, which are the connections of your connections. And I will show you a little bit later in terms of the numbers and what it means, because it's very powerful, the growth of your network because of this phenomenon. However, if I were to encapsulate LinkedIn into one concept as to why it's so effective, is the following: that you don't know who all the people that you know, or you don't know who they know. And specifically, one of my aha moments came when my wife and I were out to dinner with 2 other couples. I was explaining what I was doing, that I wanted to get connected to someone in San Diego. And when my wife heard the name, she said, "I believe I know him." And I said, "Well, how do you know him?" She says, "Because one of my girlfriends is dating him." I says, "Wow. So why didn't you tell me?" And of course she responded, "Because I never asked." And that's when I went, oh my God, that's true. I don't know who she knows. And the reason I never asked is because it never occurred to me that she might know him. But how many more people might she know that I would be interested in meeting if I only knew that she knew them? Well, LinkedIn makes those relationships visible. So let's talk about the process on LinkedIn and why it is so effective. Strategically, there's only 2 reasons why people go on LinkedIn. Number 1 is because they want to find other professionals, and number 2 is because they want to be found by other professionals. So here are the things that you can find on LinkedIn. You can do searches for people who have specific titles. Let's say that a CFO is the person who would be hiring for your skill set. You can do searches for people who are CFOs on LinkedIn within a 10-mile radius of your location. You can find companies in specific industries. This particular search was companies in the medical practice industry in the greater San Diego area. You can find connections inside of companies. So Who are the people that are already working at those companies that can introduce you to the people who are hiring? So let's talk about finding the specific target companies for you. If you make a list of 10 companies that you would ideally want to work for, what you can do is you can do searches on LinkedIn to target those companies. And once you have the list, you can also target people who used to work at that company. I heard that term and I liked it, called the newly departed. These are past employees of your target companies, where you can reach out to them, contact them, ask them some questions, and gather some intelligence that you can later use to get hired at the company that they left. There are 3 ways that you can get found on LinkedIn. One is when people search for you directly, so you must have a profile on LinkedIn to be found. The other one is when the search engine on LinkedIn finds you, and that is you must have the keywords that people will type searching for you, the skill set, the problems that you solve. And the third way that people will find you is when they direct people to you because they consider you a good fit for the person who is looking for what you're doing. So those are the 3 ways you're going to get found on LinkedIn. So let's talk a little bit about your profile and how important it is. With 100 million plus profiles on LinkedIn, you must get noticed and you also need to get found. To do that, you must have a headline, your picture needs to be professional, you must have a keyword-rich summary as well as experience for what you can bring to the table, and very important are the recommendations. So let me talk about those areas, and let's start out with great examples of some headlines. Okay, the headlines are kind of like when you see a newspaper, the headline is the first thing that people grasp and decide whether they want to read the rest of the article. Well, that's kind of how it works on LinkedIn. A powerful headline will want people to read more about you and your profile. It should be interesting, and more than likely it should provide some benefits to the person who is looking to hire you. In this particular one of the key benefits is, ask me how I saved a Fortune 50 company from losing $3.9 million. That would get you curious if you are looking for a program manager or an IT manager. So that's one great example. Here's a few other ones. Client-focused, big idea salesperson. It's not just I'm looking for a position in sales, but you're telling them that you're client-focused and you have big ideas to pursue. Recent Ohio State honors graduate and publishing intern. The fact that you're stating that you had honors, that may appeal to somebody looking for you. And state what you do, but also that you're seeking a new opportunity. So you are declaring right in your headline that you are looking for opportunities. Your summary needs to have keywords and benefits that will allow both the search engines and the humans to find you. The keywords are for search engines, but the humans, once they read it, they want to answer the question, will this person help me with the problems that I need solving? So the more you can write that into your summary, the better off the chances that somebody will want to interview you. You also want to make it easy for them to find you by putting all your contact information right on your summary. Your experience talks about what you have accomplished, as well as what you will do for people. So be sure that you state as many figures as you can, how you save people a certain amount of dollars, the size of the groups of people that you work with. That makes it easier to paint a picture of what you bring to the table for somebody to hire you. Recommendations are very, very powerful. Many employers say that a positive online reputation greatly influences their hiring decisions. So make sure that you get powerful recommendations from people that you have worked with or who have hired you. The last is the LinkedIn mindset, and that is the approach that you bring. In my research, I also found that people looking for a job only spend about 45 minutes a day looking for a job, and that's because many of them have given up. They don't believe they can find a job, and with that mindset, they oftentimes end up creating a self-fulfilling prophecy. So on LinkedIn, what you must do is, first of all, you must build your network. Remember, people on LinkedIn are there to network. They're there to find information and to make connections. So reach out to everyone that you know on LinkedIn. One of the ways that you can do that is by seeing who's already on LinkedIn from your connections. So if you have a Gmail account, an AOL account, or you have an Outlook account with all of these email addresses of people that you know, import them and see which of those people are already on LinkedIn so you can connect with them. Reach out to new connections. For example, let's look at some of your alumni associations, and I will give you more of these tips in a future video. And then once you find some of the people that would be of interest for you to connect with them, reach out to them. Send them a personal invitation to connect with you and tell them why you would want to connect with them, how it would benefit them to also connect with you, and vice versa. You want to do that because the size of your network matters. Let me show you some statistics. This person has 107 first-degree connections, that is people that they're directly connected to, but look at the number of second-degree connections. It's almost 70,000. Those are the number of people that you can reach with one email to one of your connections to send to one of their connections. That's pretty powerful. One email, one voicemail, one phone call can put you in touch with almost 70,000 people. However, look at this other person who has almost 4,800 connections and 1.8 million second-degree connections. That is a far bigger network, and meaning there are far more people in far more companies that are likely to know about far more jobs available when you have a larger network. So it definitely matters. So focus on growing your network. However, do not send a blast message to all of your LinkedIn connections about your job search. That is poor etiquette, and it will really ruin your reputation very, very quickly. So you have to do it differently. Think of it, this is much more farming, akin to farming, than it is hunting. So you're building relationships, you're planting seeds, as opposed to you're hunting for a job. People on LinkedIn do not want to be hunted, but people on LinkedIn are very interested in building relationships, which really underscores the importance of the proper mindset. It starts with a pay-it-forward attitude, meaning what can you do to add value to your network? Your presence on LinkedIn can definitely add value to the network because of the skill set that you bring. Remember, somebody looking to hire you, you would add benefit to them because of the skills that you bring. The attitude that you bring on LinkedIn can help your people. You can leave recommendations for others and can help them. You can also help connect other people, and you're adding value to your network. You can help in many other ways, and the more that you do that, the more likely that people will be to help you in return. So that's an overview of how LinkedIn can help you find a job. In future segments, I will discuss some specific strategies and tactics that you can use within LinkedIn to really land the job that you want to have. Thank you for watching, and enjoy an extraordinary day.